everybody, and welcome back to the UniqueFemme Podcast. Today, I am so excited. We have such a special guest. We have Marcy, the founder of the Art of Alopecia, and one of my former students, actually, and now I want to say friend. And I'm so grateful that she's here. And this is a really special episode for me. So thank you for being here.
I'm so happy to be here. And this is just crazy. Crazy that we've stayed connected all of these years, and that, you know what, I never thought that I would have such a profound relationship with a teacher, and the fact that it's lasted all these years is just so special.
It is so
Yeah.
special. And it's like, I'm gonna start crying.
1 minute into the podcast, already starting to tear up. But truly, there are people who come into your lives for a reason. And you were definitely there, and when I absolutely needed you. So yeah, this is really special. I'm so happy to be here.
Vice versa. I think it's we often remember those teachers who created an impact for us, or were there for us, or like just saw us.
Yeah.
Which is obviously a gift in itself, but students do that for us too. Like, you guys have such an impact on our lives. And I mean, that year for me was just, oh my God. Like, I loved my baby so much, and yeah, of course, one of those students that I think appreciated me as a teacher, and joined my dance club, and we did all the things together, and it was just so much fun. And you always just had such a beautiful energy. And I remember, like, when I met you, thinking, wow, this girl is going to do something with her life. She's going to do something incredible. She's going to impact the world. Like, you could just see it. You could feel it. It was very evident. So I'm so proud of you and everything that you built.
And I'm so proud of you for everything you built.
Yeah. What a journey we've been on.
What a journey.
Okay. So before we even start, actually, I texted Marcy the other day because I was like, look at the picture that I found. And then we'll go into, oh my gosh, everything that you do, because you're amazing. But when she graduated, which is grade 8, this is grade 8.
Yeah, grade 8.
Okay, because you were in my grade 8 homeroom class. She gave me a picture frame. Let's just show everyone. That's baby Marcy and baby Madame at the time, Nakial.
The cheesiest picture frame ever, but it says world's best teacher. So there couldn't have been a better frame. And I'm just like, I look at these pictures and I compare the wig that I'm wearing there to the wigs that I wear now. And I'm like, why didn't anyone tell me? I'm like, that one was okay, but I'm like there was no rooting. And I'm like, I look at these pictures and I'm like, why didn't anyone say anything?
Oh, you've got an eye. Well, you know what? That's what you support others in doing that now. And I'm so excited to get into your story and how you're, just creating such an impact in the world. But, from my perspective, I never noticed, right? Because I don't know wigs.
We're so aware of the things that other people just simply, they don't clock in.
I also love how your dress matches my necklace.
Yes.
Like, we almost kind of match in this picture.
Yeah, that was during my lime green love phase. Well, that was more of a mint green, but when I saw that, I was like, this is it.
So beautiful.
And I begged my parents. Sorry, Mom and Dad.
It's so good. Okay, the ring light is getting in the way there, but come on.
So cute.
I also look very different. Wow. What a different time.
What a different time. Agreed.
So let's actually start backwards. Why don't we go into what you're doing now, and maybe you can share with us a little bit, what you do and where you are presently, and then we can kind of go back to how you got there.
What am I not doing?
Feel ya on that one. Oh my God.
Truly, it's been the way that whenever someone asks me, they're like, Marcy, what do you do? I'm like, how much time do you have? Because I do so many things, and I've been really chasing after so many different passions. But truly, at the center of it all, it stems from my alopecia journey, my advocacy work, and wigs. So in the midst of the global pandemic, when everyone was looking for something to do, I took advantage of the time, and I started what I had been wanting to start for a while, which was just an alopecia focused Instagram page. And shout out to my brother who came up with the Art of Alopecia. That is the Instagram name. And he didn't even really think too much into the name. But then when he told me that name, like that makes so much sense because the way that I express myself is truly an art form. And I really wanted to showcase alopecia in such a beautiful, positive light. And so I started the Art of Alopecia simply for the purpose of raising awareness, normalizing baldness, and really empowering women through their hair loss journeys and kind of showcasing like the silver lining, the good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the good. Mostly, of course there's been a journey and I need to make that very clear to my audience. Like it wasn't always this easy,
Yeah.
but the work was worth it. So I started the Art of Alopecia and that kind of skyrocketed into other opportunities that I never really expected. I remember the first day that I received an email from a wig company, and they're like, "Hey, Marcy, like we would love to send you a free wig."
Hmm.
And I went, "Wait, what? Like you want to send me a free wig?" And at the time, I had only maybe had like two wigs that like I was using on rotation. But then it kind of turned into me receiving free wigs and me gaining more experience in the different cap constructions that exist in the wig world, and really ultimately after a few years becoming a wig expert.
Mhm.
Um and it's led to opportunities like these to speak and use my voice in a place where I can express myself, and in a place where I can feel seen. And so I started saying yes to all of these opportunities to speak, to do presentations, and started working with companies on their product development teams and helping them really enhance their cap constructions. Because as someone who wears the hair every day, there's something to say about my experiences, and it's different than just hiring someone who knows wigs versus someone who really wears them. So I
Mhm.
started
Mhm.
getting into that, and been mentoring and volunteering with the Canadian Alopecia Areata Foundation. Well before I joined the board, I just
Mm.
simply I loved being the representation that I never had as a kid. And
Mm.
just, building these relationships with these young people is really healing to the inner child selfishly, but also I know that I'm having an impact by simply just being in their life, being someone who they could look up to and someone who is living their authentic selves. And knowing that, whether they choose to do treatment or not, at least they see an alternative to treatment. I didn't have that growing up. I felt like I needed to constantly be fixed, and I need to fix myself in order to
Mm.
be worthy of love and to be accepted into society. And so I love mentoring, and I don't just mentor young children, but also adults as well. Just building that special relationship with someone who is going through the same thing that they are. So I also do that. I'm also a teaching assistant at Western because I love
Mhm.
love love academia.
Just all the things. Oh
All
my
the
goodness.
things. I loved my program at King's. And so the fact that I get to come back on a weekly basis, and I not teach, I facilitate a tutorial for the intro class to child and youth studies, and it's like the foundation of the program that I graduated with. And it's just so special because it's like, I've been asked to TA the upper years, but I'm like, I love to start with the first years, because
Mm.
if I have even the slightest bit of impact, whether or not they choose to pursue this as their discipline,
Mm.
like I feel like I've done my job.
Right.
Um so that's that.
I love that.
And I think that summarize. I mean, there's so much more that I can say, but let's just say I'm a freelancer. I do so many
It's a
different.
free spirit, but and creating such an impact in all of the pockets of life, right? You're creating an impact and everything that you said, it's like, how can I serve this community? Which is so beautiful in my own unique way, which is exactly what this is about, right? It's like, how do you create a life of impact and purpose by honoring your unique self, your unique gifts, by letting yourself shine, letting your light shine in a way that's authentic to who you truly are. And I think that you're just such a perfect example of that because look at everything you've just described. It's like, this is how I can serve this community. And it's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're just like so lucky to have Marcy in this world. I mean that. And so maybe as a starting point, maybe you could tell us actually, because I assume that there's some misconceptions around alopecia.
Mhm.
So maybe you can tell us what it is so that people actually have the right, correct definition of alopecia.
Yeah, so alopecia it's an autoimmune deficiency. It is a form of hair loss, but it is alopecia areata is technically the medical term. Now there's various subforms of alopecia. So there's alopecia areata, which is just the patches on your head. There's alopecia totalis, which is complete baldness of the head. And then there's alopecia universalis, which is what I have, which is complete full body baldness. Now, alopecia is different than alopecia or androgenic alopecia. That is more a hormonal type of hair loss.
Yeah.
So the biggest misconception is that people with alopecia or the cause of their alopecia is caused by stress. And I like to look at them and I'm like, I was probably diagnosed at 6 years old. And let me tell you, I had a wonderful childhood. Had nothing to be stressed about, and it still happened to me. So what research has led us to believe is that it's an environmental factor. Well, it's a gene that you're born with that can be activated by an environmental factor. And you can live your entire life with that gene not being activated.
Hmm.
It's just there's so little research on who it affects. Actually, it affects everyone. It affects men, women, anyone at any age. But yeah, there really isn't enough research about it. But that's one of the biggest misconceptions is that it's caused by stress. Um, but it's not. It's an imbalance in the immune system. And it can look differently for everyone. There is no cure. There is not one treatment that works best for everyone. And it's unpredictable. Some people can have it their entire lives. On a random day, someone's hair could grow back. It can happen for little periods of time or longer periods of time. It can happen for life. It's not, yeah, well, also, this is something that I really like to touch on, especially when it comes to insurance coverage
Hmm.
for wigs or for medications.
Hmm.
So alopecia is not technically, I think there's been a shift within the last few years, but when I was a kid trying to get funding for a wig, the only funding that they would give me is if I was losing my hair due to chemotherapy. But what people need to understand
Wow.
is that alopecia is a life altering condition, and that we should have the right to coverage, whether that is for a wig, or for treatments, um, because it truly affects your entire life, um, everything about you. So yeah, that's what alopecia is, but it's just like there isn't one form of alopecia. There's multiple forms. But the type that I have is an autoimmune deficiency. There's a lot of misconceptions about alopecia, but the number one being that it's caused by stress, but not for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you. Okay. So I'm so glad that we got clarity on that
Mhm.
because I think it's really important that people have the correct knowledge around it. And something that I love that you said was just like, I got tired of um, people trying to fix me or like it was something that we needed to fix. And so, I would love for you to share a little bit of how you got to this point where you were in such surrender and acceptance of like, actually, I'm gonna love and celebrate myself. And actually, I am beautiful. And how did you get? I know that there's a story there. So how did you get to that point of like honoring just the gift of being you?
Yeah, I mean, it. it's been such a journey, and there wasn't just one moment that kind of changed it for me. um so I started treatment at the ripe age of, I don't think I started right away because I think they were skeptical of putting me on anything when I was first diagnosed, but I want to say that I started around the age of 7. Um and my dermatologist told me straight up, there's nothing that is for sure in the realm of alopecia. There were lots of treatments available, but there wasn't a cure. Um and at the time I didn't really see any representation in the media.
Mm.
I didn't know anyone else with not social media. I didn't know anyone else with alopecia. The only representation that I saw of baldness was men, cancer patients, or individuals who just chose to shave their heads, or aliens. Aliens, to be
True,
honest.
true, yeah.
You know what? Bald women always played aliens in the sci-fi movies.
True.
And so for the longest time, yeah, it's a good idea.
We're shifting.
Yeah,
If you're
yeah,
just
yeah,
listening in, we're just shifting positions. We're cross-legged. Okay,
yeah, yeah.
we're in. That's how you know the conversation's
Yeah,
getting good.
crisscross applesauce.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for years, I was under the impression that in order for me to live out a full life, in order to be accepted, in order to be loved, I needed to get my hair back. So I owe it to I owe it to my parents, because I'm sure that they didn't want me to try all these treatments, but they knew that I was the driving force.
Mm.
But I feel like it would have been different if I had found community, if I had seen a representation of someone living authentically in their own skin with alopecia, but I didn't see that. So I felt like I needed to be fixed. And so I tried out all of these treatments that really kind of affected my quality of life. They weren't the best treatments for your health, but the hair was growing back. So at the time I'm like, it's worth it. Um but time and time after again, the treatment would work and then it would stop. And then I would be on to a new treatment. It would work and then it would stop. So it was just like this constant cycle of like building hope, but then that hope just being shattered. And you can attest to this, like I was a really energetic, bubbly kid,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
even though I was suffering with, the challenges that I was facing with alopecia, just like bullying. And well, actually, you know what? Once I talked about the alopecia, once I went into those classes and I did those presentations, and I educated people on what alopecia was, on how it's something that I couldn't control, um, no one touched me, and I loved that, and I felt really safe at our school once I did those presentations, and once I went up in front of the entire school. Were you there for that? Or did you come in
I
were
was.
you on maternity leave?
I think I was on mat leave.
Because it was
So
in grade 7.
you went in front of the entire school and spoke about it,
Yeah.
right? Don't. I don't know if I was there for that.
I think you were on mat
I'm
leave.
because if it was you were in grade 7, I was on mat leave.
Yes.
Okay. But
Yeah.
then there was the moment in grade, I don't know if it was 8 or 9, whatever, when you did with the mirror on stage for the dance.
Oh my
So we'll
goodness.
come back to that
Oh
one.
my goodness, I forgot about that.
Um, oh my goodness. Okay, so
Wow.
let's go back
Yes.
into how you decided to go because Marcy at a really young age decided in grade 7 or 8, I'm going to go into grade 7, I guess, into all of the classes. Was in grade 7 that you did that?
Yeah, so it started in grade 6,
Right.
but in the French school system, you have to change schools in grade 7. So in grade 6, I had been getting bullied. A lot of people had been teasing me. And my best friend and I at the time, we rallied together and we asked my teacher if we could do a presentation on alopecia. So she helped me do a PowerPoint presentation, and it was truly the moment where I felt like I initially took control over my hair loss. Because it was the first time that I really I stepped stepped into in front of a group of people as raw as I was, and I spoke about, what alopecia was and how it made me feel when, people were saying these comments. And then I just took off my wig. I took off my wig, because there was a point where I had lost all of my hair leading up to grade 6, and then I had to buy a wig because I didn't think there was an alternative. But then everyone knew that I was wearing a wig because wigs weren't how they are now. And I mean, we didn't really do a lot of research. We had to just come up with a solution immediately. But I went from having so little hair to wearing like a little beanie hat to having so much hair.
Mm.
And so I thought that by going to a new school, I got a new wig. I thought it was going to be a fresh start. Didn't think it was really going to affect me, but turns out the wig did or still looked wiggy. And I just remember on the first day of school, I was in the bathroom and there was these grade 8 girls talking about me when I was in one of the stalls,
Mm.
talking so negatively about me that kind of that just completely shattered me because I thought I was finally going to get my fresh start because this wasn't the school that a lot of my other peers were going to. I had only come with like maybe 4 friends to this new school. So it was hard, but I built up that courage of like, okay, I've done this once before, maybe I can do it again. And so I went up in front of all of like the grade 7 and 8 classes, and just like no presentation, no PowerPoint, just being like, hey, I'm Marcy. I have alopecia. This is what it is. Um, you can't hate on me for something I can't control. I do wear wigs. Let's that is the elephant in the room. Yes, I do wear wigs. But then after that, like no one touched me until the high school students became a bigger issue. And I went to the principal because it got really bad and I didn't want to go to school. I didn't think they were going to be an issue because like we were on such different time
Yeah.
schedules.
Yeah.
Um, but it just so happened that they were the biggest issue of all. So I went to the principal and he was trying to help me in the best that he could. But there was just so many different people and like I didn't know who they were, so it wasn't like I could like say their names or whatnot.
Yeah.
And then he came up with this crazy idea and he told me, he goes, hey, Marcy, like, I don't know if this interests you, but we have an assembly coming up. How would you feel about going up in front of the entire school? And I looked at him like, absolutely not. Like, I'm the youngest. I am the freshest fish in the sea here. Like, I am not doing that. Um, but then like I came home and I reflected and I'm like, what do I have to lose? Like I already have some experience talking about my alopecia and I knew how much more comfortable I felt in my environment once people were in the know. So maybe this was my ticket into being accepted. Not that I owed them anything, but maybe this was my ticket to feeling comfortable because I was going to be at that school for potentially 6 years. And so I did it.
Like the courage. Grade 7. That is incredible.
And he introduced me to a grade 12 student who had alopecia. It was a guy and he wasn't very open about it. I don't think anyone really touched him or it didn't really affect him too much. But we got introduced and he came up with me. So that was really nice to just have kind of representation of the older crowd,
Yeah.
an older like the freshest fish in the sea to the senior of the sea. So, it was nerve-wracking, but at the same time I was just like, okay, you know what? Even though I'm still trying to fix myself, at least I'm starting to feel a bit more comfortable in my skin. And that was what was important to me. And then once everyone knew, I kind of started to like have fun with wigs just a little bit. Like I didn't really know much about wigs, but like I remember like my friends at the time we went to Canada's Wonderland for a weekend and then we stopped at a wig shop on the way and we were just trying on these crazy wigs and I ended up getting like a fun wig. So I really started to kind of like embrace my alopecia, not fully accept it, but like at least kind of embrace it just a little bit. And then when the new grade sevens would come into the school, I would do presentations in the class because I really did see that, by raising awareness, it was having an impact on how I felt. And I just knew that, like, if there was a grade seven coming into the class and maybe they had alopecia, and if they saw me, like, at least we could start building that awareness. And the more that I talked about it, the more empowered I felt. Still doing treatments in the meantime. But I stopped putting so much emphasis into being fixed, but I was still on this journey of, like, but what if? What
Right.
if I could get my hair back? Ultimately, that was the goal, but I didn't hold so much pressure on myself anymore. If it
Yeah.
didn't work, it didn't work, but at least I tried.
Yeah. So
And
it sounds like it was like a journey of like acceptance and like that self-love journey. It's a journey.
yes, it was years in the making. And you know what? Throughout school, like, there were moments where, I would go to lunch without my wig. I would go
Mhm.
to the mail without my wig. I would go to the pharmacy without my wig. So it was just like really starting to think about a reality in which I don't always have to hide.
Yes.
I knew that I could always have wigs as a safety net, but what if wigs just became a part of, an accessory in my
Mhm.
life? And there was one time as I continued to kind of grow older into high school, I made my first post on Facebook. So that was like a big one.
Yeah, well,
And I did that dance.
yes. Oh
Yeah,
my
I
gosh.
think we
Can we
need to
talk about
yeah,
the
I think
dance?
I think we need to talk about it because I forget about that moment.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
forget about it.
We did so when I was teaching at the school at this time, I was teaching grade 8 and I was also teaching dance after school. I was also running a dance competition. Cynthia was doing still all the things.
That was so
And
fun.
it was so fun. And we would always do a dance recital every year for mental health.
Mhm,
It was Danser pour la santé mentale, right?
mhm.
And that year you and I spoke, and I don't know who came up with the idea of you doing a solo. And it was like, and we had like those rolling
Yeah,
mirrors,
yeah.
right? And that you can kind of move around, and you had one. And do you want to share? Do you remember?
Yeah, I don't remember the technical aspect of the choreography wasn't the strongest, but I think it was about
It was
it it
incredible.
was about the messaging.
Yes.
And
In front of the whole school. It was
yeah.
a buyout. Kids could pay like a toonie to buy out of
No, I
being
think
in
it was at
class.
the Wolf.
Oh, did we do 2? Did we do 1 there and at the
Oh, maybe
Wolf?
we no.
This one I remember was at the school, so you might have done it twice, because I remember the whole school cheering. Because Marcy danced, and then she had this mirror, and then at the end of the dance or midway through her dance, you took your wig off,
Yeah,
and you did the rest of the piece with no wig, and it was like this contemporary kind of movement piece
yeah,
around your story
yeah.
and authenticity and self-love. And I kid you not, this whole school, grade 7 to 12, was like roaring. There was just, and it was so powerful. And I remember being backstage crying, just like it was such a, oh my gosh. And it was such a beautiful moment that, everyone could learn from. And, high schoolers can be a tough crowd. And yeah, it was incredible. It was so beautiful.
I don't know, I just felt like the more comfortable, I don't know, it's so weird because, like, the more comfortable I felt in my environment, the more comfortable I made other people feel, and, like, that's kind of a weird thing to say, but at the same time, like, I truly felt like once I just took a stand, told them what I had, like, I really was embraced
Yeah.
by the entire school. And I think, like, the only reason why kids judge is because they don't understand the story. But once they did, like, I truly felt like I was empowered by truly the entire school. Of course, there was always the mean girls, of course. But I had a great group of friends
Yeah.
who empowered me, and that's all that mattered to me. Um, but yeah, that dance was a crazy moment. I think it was like posting on Facebook for the first time, that dance. And then when I got into the upper years, when I was I think they yes, it was so I tried treatment one last time. I had stopped treatment for like a few years because I was on a really harsh chemotherapy medication that my body just it needed to cleanse. So I stopped. And I told myself, okay, I'm going to do one last round of treatment. So I went back to do the steroid injections in my head because I was older and I'm like, I can take the pain and maybe my body will react differently. But I told myself when I started, I said, Marcy, this doesn't work. You're going to be okay.
Mm.
But at least I could tell myself, you gave it your best shot, kid. So when I was 17, I did the treatment again. And my hair grew back. It was so dark, it was short, it was cute. And I was really embracing, I knew that it wasn't gonna last forever. I just knew in the back of my head, but it was so wonderful just to have like a little piece of my hair back. And after a year, it stopped working. So I made it my goal to fully take control of my hair loss and to embrace my new self in this new stage of my life.
Mm.
And so the day before my graduation pictures, I shaved the rest of my hair off and I
So
and
powerful.
I went in bald and proud to school. And I took my grad photos without hair, and I had, like, hair as my accessory.
I love it.
And that was the moment that I think I took control, and I owned me for who I was supposed to be. Um, and looking back, it took years of my life, but I'm happy I got there.
Yeah.
And I think, again, if there was community, if there was representation, I would have gotten there sooner. But unfortunately, we were living in a different time where there wasn't as much awareness. But yeah, fast
Wow.
forward, I just turned 25.
I don't know if you're saying that like you're so young. She has so much way to go. You have such so much time to create like such an impact. And I can only imagine how many lives you've changed simply by being you. And I think that you touched on like such great points when we honor ourselves and we give ourselves to be permission to be authentically us. It also then gives others around us permission to be authentically them. And that in itself is the gift. That's the purpose is be you and it'll allow others to be them. And what a beautiful world we would have if everyone approached it in that way.
I agree.
And and that's exactly what you've done, and so you everywhere you go, you're creating an impact, and I mean, I could just imagine for those who do have alopecia, especially the kids, and I know you work a lot with, girls, and I wanna touch on that because I see it on your Instagram, and it's just like, "Oh my god," like, oh, what a gift, and but we can have that impact. Yeah, sorry, I'm making her cry, but I just it's just so special and it's just such a gift and I know how many lives you've changed, but again, not just those with alopecia, but anyone that's struggling to be their authentic self. So thank you for what you do and for showing up because I know it's not easy either. It's very vulnerable.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something like because you have quite a big Instagram following. And I imagine with that, there's a lot of pressure of, yes, like showing up, content on the hard days and things like that. What, what's your favorite part of being so available, I guess, or like sharing your experience? Because I imagine you get messages from people saying, like, oh my God, thank you. And so what do you receive? And what do you find actually challenging so that we can maybe give some support to those who may be doing the same?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so blessed to have the following that I do because it's truly connected me to people around the world. But as I, you know, decided, when I stopped my treatment, like I made a vow to myself that I would be okay. And in the same way that I did that with my social media. I had no idea what I was doing
Mm.
when I started social media. I didn't expect the outcome that it has had. Um, but I once again made a vow, like I would show up as my authentic self and I would be transparent. I would never lead people astray. And I would show the good, the bad, and the ugly. Um, and I think that is something that I have stayed true.
Mhm.
I've stayed true to myself this entire time. It doesn't matter with the number of followers. I've built such a beautiful community that I'm so proud of. And you know how on social media, you see these people and you're like, I wonder what they're like in person.
Mm, mhm.
And my goal and what will always be my goal is that I'm going to show up exactly how I show up in my life.
I love that.
And it's like it's really reassuring when, people meet me for the first time who has been following me. They're like, "You're exactly how you are. You're exactly how you are on social media." Like I'm overly smiley,
Hmm.
I'm very bubbly, I'm out there. And that's exactly how I am, I don't put on this facade
Yeah,
for anyone.
yeah.
It's just truly who I am. Um and so I think the best part is being able to have a platform where I can advocate for the things that are meaningful to me, um,
Beautiful.
and to build community and connections so that no one ever feels that they are alone with hair loss.
Yeah.
And since like there has been so many more people who have been open on social media about their hair loss, and it's kind of like a ripple effect.
Yeah.
I started this, I want to say, like 5 years ago. Um, and it's just been the most meaningful work because I've gotten to connect with so many incredible souls who are truly friends for life. And that wouldn't have happened without my social media. So it's just it's a beautiful platform that has led to so many beautiful opportunities. And I think the hardest part is, you know, you wanna do so much, but you have to be conscious about spreading yourself too
Yeah.
thin.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned, like, I do receive a lot of messages, and I want to provide as much support as possible, but in between all of the things that I do for work, in between my mentorship, um, wig consultations.
Yeah.
If you're looking to explore the alternative hair world,
Yep.
book a consult. But it's just, yeah, that's the hardest part is like you want to give so much and you want to answer all of those messages, but it's like you want to you really wanna take the time to send them a proper response, but sometimes I can't be so many people. I'm just
Yeah.
one person.
Yeah.
So I think that's the hard part is, like, people look to me as, someone that they see themselves in, um, but it's hard. It's so hard to kind of separate yourself as well and to create boundaries
Yes.
for social media because again, I never started this with the intention that um these these amounts of possibilities and these opportunities would come out of it, but it did. So, I people are always telling me, they're like, "Marcy, you could go so big with this. You could
Mhm.
you could get millions of followers." It's not about that for me. It really isn't. I have my niche and, like, though I like to kind of tap into other niches, I'm just happy with my niche because when I stick to my niche, I can maintain those boundaries, um, and I can still have a personal life and not put everything on social
Yeah.
media.
Yeah.
When I go on vacation with my family, of course, we're gonna take group pictures, but I'm not constantly, like, filming them, like, our every move. I love keeping those boundaries. It keeps me sane.
Yep, it's so important and a great message and reminder, I think, as entrepreneurs or anyone who does have that Instagram following or just has like that busy life who's here to make an impact and feels called to serve their community. It's very easy to get kind of pulled in all these directions and
Mhm.
it's important to be selective because we need you. And so that has to be the priority.
Yeah.
And that's where nervous system regulation tools comes in. Friends, you know who to call. Um, I love that so much. Thank you for, I mean, sharing your story. And so, I mean, something that this is, brought you to is to be able to travel the world. I mean, it's really incredible. And so what's that been like to go and travel to meet these beautiful humans and this community and to build it in that way? I mean, it's really incredible. So what's that been like?
It's been a dream come true. I think, you know,
The wind here is
the
incredible. So I don't know if you guys can hear it, but like things are flying out there. We're just talking, pretending that there's not like a tornado outside. But just
oh,
know that
everything's okay.
we're
We're
okay.
safe.
We're
We're
safe.
safe.
We're
It's just been so wonderful. I never expected the one thing that I was so ashamed of to be the thing that I am ultimately the proudest of now. And it's led me to so many opportunities such as travel, and it's given me the flexibility to be able to travel leisurely as well. But it's kind of awesome.
yeah.
It's so awesome, and I never expected felt like I'm always the girl with a plan, and my plan was always linear. You know what? I do university, I do my undergrad, and then I'd immediately start my master's. Well, there's a bit of wiggle room that's been happening, and it's just been so rewarding to take the time to really devote
Yeah.
myself to things that are meaningful to me. And I did just apply to my master's, so fingers crossed about that. But it's just been what a whirlwind of life it's been. Like I'm so grateful, and I feel so blessed, and I can't wait to see what happens next. But also, if I do start my master's,
Yeah.
that's going to be really hard for me because I'm going to have to say no to a lot more things, because one thing that has stemmed from my alopecia journey is a passion for children's medical rights and advocating for their right to participate, their right to know what is happening to and around their bodies. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, children do have agency, and I want to advance the field of children's medical rights, and I really want to do a thesis in my master's, and it's a whole other conversation. But it's like it stems from being a child. Even though I was the driving force, I wasn't given the opportunity to understand what was
Yeah.
going into my body. And if I had known, I think I would have made some different decisions.
Mm.
Um,
How powerful an education is
yeah,
empowerment.
yeah.
It's powerful.
But it's all connected.
Yeah,
It's all
absolutely.
connected to
Yes.
my journey. Everything that I'm doing now, it's all connected to alopecia, and to just living life as good old Marcy.
Good old Marcy, and still just the bubbly person. Like you walk into a room and you're literally like a light. And I remember thinking that as, when you were younger in grade 7 and 8, and I remember, and it's still the same today. And hearing this conversation, I think it's a beautiful invitation for those who are listening in or watching in to go, okay, you know what? Where in my life am I dimming myself or trying to fix myself to fit a dynamic or to fit in some way, whether it be in my business or in the way that I present myself, my Instagram, whatever it is? And how can you be more you? And knowing that it's always going to lead you to having a bigger impact and serving the collective in a more meaningful way. And so there's no point in filtering yourself out. Um, and it's such a scary thing to do, and I mean, the fact that you started doing that at such a young age is truly incredible, and you're so in your purpose, and the world is so lucky to have you, and I can't even imagine how transformative it's been for these kids and adults alike to get to witness your journey and go, "Oh, wait, actually, I can just be me, and it is beautiful, and I can use the wig as an accessory." But, again, for those who aren't necessarily in that world, for us too watching it's always just such a beautiful reminder, that the power is really just honoring who we are. And I love what it's brought you to, and the beautiful opportunities it's created for you. But it's really been because you've been such a gift. And so really, I mean it. You're just like the best. Like I could just talk to you forever. Um, and I guess so if somebody, kids, adults alike, like I think, and women, we struggle to be authentically ourselves, and what would you say to somebody right now who's kind of like, oh, like this is the thing that I should be doing, or this is the person I'm supposed to be? Like what words of wisdom can you give to those people?
Oh goodness, what a big
I
question.
know.
Um,
Sorry.
I
Ending
mean,
off with a bang.
like as cheesy as it sounds, take that leap of faith because it's gonna be worth it.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know what? The best things in life were the things that didn't necessarily come easy to us.
100%.
And it's just going to allow you to live more free.
Mm.
And as you said, like honoring yourself, what a gift that is to wake up every single day just to be you. And now I'm going to get really emotional because it's like, what a journey it's been. Like, I never thought there was a world where I would accept my alopecia. The fact that I'm on a podcast right now, bald and proud, like never knew that that was a reality for me. But I'm happy that I challenged myself to take those steps because it ultimately has been a journey. And what else could I say? I mean, we live in such a critical world, or we live in such a world where things are so critical. People are
Mm.
so critical
Mhm.
about each other. But as something that you always preach, like finding your community and surrounding yourself with people who truly
Yeah.
embrace you for you, that is the biggest advice that I can give to people. Because if you are if you are scared to tap into that new self because you think the people around you are going to judge you, maybe they're not your people.
Yes. Let those people find their people, find
Yes.
your people by being you. 100%. I love that.
Community.
Yeah.
Just community, finding the people who will embrace you.
Mhm.
It's not about quantity, it's about quality. And yeah, just finding your people and just this is going on too long. Now I'm mumbling, but it that was a hard question to answer.
I think you answered it beautifully,
Okay,
because
good, good,
something I would
good.
have said as well was the community piece. I think everything you said was perfect. I think it's taking the leap, and like nothing, I think freedom, we have to remember, is always on the other line of like fear and doing the hard thing.
Yeah.
And I've experienced this, like even this week, like I launched something new and my whole body was like, what are you doing? And it's like, but those are the things, like giving birth is hard, but look at what you get to create, you know? And I always say that, I'm like, the thing, like we're in a world where people say like, just follow this and it'll be easy. I don't know if I want easy. Like, like we want it to feel true, and that to me is ease. It doesn't mean it's easy,
Mhm.
right? It's ease when it's like, this is, I could feel that it's aligned and it's true to who I am, and I'm honoring myself, and there's an ease that comes with that. But it doesn't mean that the steps you're going to take are going to feel easy. They're going to be scary and they're going to stretch you and it's going to be pushy. But you know what you're going to do? You're going to find your community. You're gonna like find niche down your community. Moms need moms, right? Like you've really created that community, and then you've been able to connect with others around the world with alopecia. And I think it's so important. So like I think if there's one thing you're taking from this podcast, like find your community, please.
Find
Um
people who won't dim your light.
yeah. And if it doesn't exist, create it. Yeah. If it doesn't exist, create it.
Join our community.
Join our community. Um, And remember to regulate your nervous system during, because it is really tough, and having, movement, and body-based tools to support our body when we're doing things like that and experiencing change is going to be really important. So,
Yeah.
touch on that too. Thank you so much for coming. I could, like, my whole body is lit up. I could talk to you for hours. What a gift. What a full circle moment.
Yeah.
I love you so much. I'm so glad we get to be kind of in not similar professional worlds, but be doing things like this together is really incredible. And I'm so happy for you and proud of you and
Love
grateful
you.
for you. I love you so much. Okay. We love you guys so much. Please tell us, where can we find you?
You can follow me on the Art of Alopecia on across all platforms. Really should start a LinkedIn. That's something that's been on the to-do list for a while, but maybe in 2026 you'll find me on
Cool.
LinkedIn. But yeah, the Art of Alopecia across all platforms. Would love to connect.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. We love you so much, and we will see you next time. Bye.